Hello, everybody. Welcome to CGU Christ Grace Unlimited. My name is Trust in Christ. I have my brother Swish in the CGU community here. And today is a great day. Today is a blessed day. Today is a day of the Lord. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to go into the book of 2 Samuel, and we're going to cover the story of David and his family. Now, where we left off at, David, he committed a foul sin. He caused an innocent man to die, Mr. Uriah, who was a great soldier for the army of Israel. He was a Hittite. We can assume he most likely was a proselyte Jew. And what he did, instead of, fessing up to the adultery he committed by stealing his wife away, laying down with Bathsheba, David had him sent into the line of fire where the mightiest men were, and Uriah was shot down and killed. And Joab, one of his generals, pretty much, sought about to do as the king ordered, because David could not pin that baby on Uriah, because Uriah, as a noble man, he would not allow himself to rest. He would not allow himself to enjoy the pleasures of comfort while Israel was in arms as well as in battle. And David, he tried to cover that sin up, but guess what? God saw his sin. Even though he tried to hide it and cover it up, God saw his sin, and because he saw his sin, one of his punishments was that in his house, the sword will never leave his house. Let's look at it real quick. Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite, 2 Samuel 12:9, with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thy house, because thou hast despised me. Which means David did not regard his law and his commandment. He just did what he felt that was best. He saw a beautiful woman. He was like, man, I want that. I don't care what God thinks. God, he will forgive me. I'm King David. I've done these many things. And guess what? God gave him that judgment. So that was one judgment, was that he will always be in war as he reigned. So the sword would never depart from him. And then his other judgment was, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house. And I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of the sun. For thou didst it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun. So, David's judgment, he took somebody's wife secretly. God, calls his own enemies within his own house, as we're going to read, to come against him and to do evil against him openly. So we're going to go into chapter 13 and 2 Samuel 13, Anon and Tamar. And it came to pass after this, Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister, whose name was Tamar. And Anon, the son of David, loved her. So these are two siblings. I love my sister. She's beautiful. I want my sister. And Anon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar. For she was a virgin, and Anon thought it was hard for him to do anything to her. And let's look at the law. The law in Leviticus forbid people that are close to kin to lie with one another. Even, stepsisters, that was forbidden according to the law. Now, it did happen, before the law of Moses, but God's law there under the old covenant, laying with anyone that is close to kin is forbidden. Laying with your auntie is forbidden. Your uncle is forbidden. Stepbrother, stepsister, all of that is forbidden. Don't matter if your dad was married to someone that had a different mother than you. That was forbidden. You shall not lay with anyone that's close to kind. And one thing you see is that attraction, and it's very true. Attraction, and is something that's done physically. If someone is beautiful, that doesn't mean you should go for them. That's a fact. And Amnon, he allowed his lust, as we see in James. Where does lust, where does evil start? It starts in your heart. If you do not keep your heart in check, you're going to do evil. Same thing with adultery. You're going to get attracted to married women. You're going to be attracted to married men. But if you do not allow what is right to rule your heart, if you don't allow the fear of God to control your decision-making process, you're going to do very vile things and unlawful things and sickening things, like Amnon as well as David, because David did practically the same thing but differently. David saw a beautiful woman, but he was king. And he came to Bathsheba while his soldiers were out in battle, and took her and laid with her and had the man killed. All right, verse 3. But Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shemaiah, David's brother, and Jonadab was a very subtle man. So he was, you can say, discreet, maybe sneaky when you look at the word subtle. And he said unto him, Why art thou, being the king's son, lean from day to day? Why are you so lovesick? Why, well, we should say lust-sick. Wilt thou not tell me? And Amnon said unto him, I love Tamar, my brother's Absalom's sister. And Jonadab said unto him, Lay thee down on thy bed, and make thyself sick. And when thy father cometh to see thee, say unto him, I pray thee, let my sister come, and give me meat, and dress the meat in my sight, that I may see it, and eat it at her hand. He'll pretty much play sick. Act like you're at your death's bed, or act like you're very ill, and your father, he sees about you. Send for my sister Tamar. Have her to prepare something. Have her to nurse me up. That's pretty much what he told him to do. Play sick, call for your sister, and make a move on her while she's nursing you up to nourishment. Alright, verse 6. So Amnon lay down and made himself sick. And when the king was come to see him, Amnon said unto the king, I pray thee, let Tamar, my sister, come, and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, that I may eat at her hand. Then David sent home Tamar, saying, Go now to thy brother Amnon's house, and dress him meat. So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, and he was laid down, and she took flour and kneaded it, so she mixed it up, and made cakes in his sight, and did bake the cakes. And she took a pan and poured them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, Have out all men from me. So get rid of all the men, get rid of all the guards, get rid of all the soldiers. I want it to be just me and you. And they laid and they went out every man from him. So no witnesses, no man was there to stop this sin from happening. And Amnon said unto Tamar, bring the meat into thy chamber, bring it into my bedroom, that I may eat of thy hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she had made, and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. And when she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her, so he snatched her up pretty much, and said unto her, come lie with me, my sister. And she said unto him, nay, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not this folly. And she was right. Remember, the law forbid anyone that was close to kin to do such a thing. And medically, we know the repercussions of laying with someone that was close to kin. Look at Mr. Charles Darwin and how his children turned out. Look at a lot of the royalty throughout history that interbred, and their children ended up sick and had many mental disorders. God's law was not for that. So it don't matter if your sister is beautiful. It doesn't matter if you have emotions and feelings or desires for someone, or you feel vexed and you feel ill. Walk it off. Cool yourself off. If you're turned on into something that is forbidden to you, put your mind on something else. But that's not what Amnon did. He planned this out. He calculated. He faked being sick. And when all the guards, all the men that was in his home, his chambers, and his house, after he plotted this, he took hold of his sister and pretty much laid with her. So it's pretty much rape. So according to the law, he should have died. Remember in Deuteronomy 22. Let's look at it, because a lot of people think rape is condoned in the Bible. Let's see. It might be chapter 23. No, I had it right, 22. Alright. Well, the Bible condones rape. Okay, let's look at that. Deuteronomy 22:25. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is in this matter. Okay, so Amnon, what he did was worthy of death. All right, back to where we left off at, verse 11. Verse number 13. And she answered, verse 12, nay, my brother, to not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not this folly, and I, whether shall I cause my shame to go? If you do this to me, where's my shame going to go? Because think about it. Virginity with the house of Israel meant a lot for the young women. If you weren't a virgin, pretty much that was a death sentence. You were considered a whore. Even in the law, the same chapter I just, read a few verses, if you were a damsel, someone that was engaged to marry, and you didn't have your proof of your virginity, if your husband accused you, the punishment was death to you and the man that you fornicated with and committed adultery with. Because fornication is unlawful intercourse. Doesn't matter if it's with an animal, with man, woman, man on man, woman on woman. Anything outside the guidelines of a male-female marriage is considered fornication. And if you're laying with a married person, that is adultery. It's quite simple with that. All right. It's not wrong to, acknowledge the beauty of a woman. I'm just going to say it like that. Or to look at a woman. But it's very dangerous to do such a thing, because if you allow yourself, your heart, your flesh to be enticed, it's best not to look upon her. Now, if it's your wife, go ahead. If it's your husband, go ahead. But if it's someone that does not belong to you, don't do it. We're not going to go too deep into that because we'll be all day. All right, verse 13. All right. And I, whether shall I cause my shame to go? And as for thee, thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee. Howbeit, he would not hearken unto her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her and lay with her. So pretty much Anan raped his sister Tamar. Then Anan hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred between he hated her was greater than the love wherewith that he had loved her. So he raped her and then he hated her. Oh, man, ain't that ironic? And Anan said unto her, arise and be gone. So after you rape your own sister, that's how trash Anan is. After I rape you, put the shame upon you, defile you, go and get out of here. I hate you. I hate you more than I loved you. I felt sick for you. I desired you. I told my servant that I wanted you. I had these men to leave. And after I do the deed and lay with you, which he don't deserve any pleasure in that, being so foul. No, get out. What a trash man. Verse 16. And she said unto him, there is no cause. This evil in sending me away is greater than the other that thou didst unto me. But he would not hearken unto her. And why is that? Because who's going to marry her? Who's going to take care of her? He put her away. If this thing was kept in secret and hidden, and this is unlawful, she'll be either shamed by Israel, because not every case of adultery or fornication caused that person to be put to death when you read the law. But pretty much no man would want to be with her and take care of her. Him doing this thing marked her. Yeah, he wouldn't even do that. What a trash, after all that scheming. And that's the thing about trash, men and women. I don't get it. How you do all this scheming, all this charming, all these games, all this lying, you get the car, you fake your clothes, you fake, that you're rich, you say I love you, all to just lay with this woman, be like, alright, I got what I wanted, bye. I don't want to. That's why I don't feel, bad. I'm not bashing men, but I feel bad for. I don't feel bad for a lot of men today that get these, get women impregnated and then expect no emotions or attachments out of their deed. Man, Luke. Man, I laid with this girl and she got all clingy and crazy. Like, dude, that's what humans do. You think intercourse is meant for you to do with a person and then you just move on about it? No, if you lay with a woman, if you defile her, even especially if she has, lower amount of partners, she's gonna cling to you. Why do you think that those two flesh become one? You tied yourself. The DNA of a woman changes when you lay with her. No, don't talk to me as if I feel bad for you. If you had intercourse with a woman in the Bible, and in most cultures outside of the West, you lay with that woman becomes your wife. You have to take care of her. And if you didn't take care of the woman, You were exiled. You were shamed. You know, it's not like today you're a player and you're glorified by the culture. If you did what people like Anam did, or a lot of men do today, and it's not just the men, women do it too. You know, they lay with men and then just leave or play games and extract resources. That type of behavior, you couldn't find work. All right, man, I'm looking for work. You laid with my daughter. No, we ain't giving no work to you. No, this is the man that laid with my daughter, gave her child, and now she's at my home when you should be taking care of her. Sickening. That's why, to put it short, that's why fathers are needed. Fathers are needed to protect their daughters. That's biblical. A father gives away his daughter to be a bride. Men are strong. Men can be dangerous. That's why God has the godly man to protect his daughter until there's a mate or a husbandman. Well, I'm not going to say mate. A proper husband to be there. If you laid with a woman without permission of the father, you had to take care of that woman for the rest of your days. For the rest of your... I won't stop. Verse 17. Alright. Verse 17. Then he called his servant that ministered unto him, the one that helped set him up that plot, and said, Put now this woman out from me, and bolt the door after her. And she had a garment of divers colors upon her, for with such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins apparelled. Then his servant brought her out, and bolted the door after her. And Tamar put ashes on her head, and rent her garment of divers colors that was on her, and laid her hand on her head, and went on crying. Felt bad for the girl. And Absalom her brother said unto her, Hath Anam thy brother been with thee? But hold now thy peace, my sister. He is thy brother, regard not this thing. So Tamar remained desolate in her brother's Absalom's house. So Absalom took care of his sister. But when the king heard of all these things, he was very angry. And of course, you're going to be angry. And Absalom spake unto his brother Amnon, neither good nor bad, so he played it cool and safe. For Absalom hated Amnon, because he had forced or raped his sister Tamar. And it came to pass after 2 full years that Absalom had sheep shearers at Baal-hazor, which is besides Ephraim. And Absalom invited all the king's sons, all his brothers, including Ishbosheth, Jonathan's son from the house of Saul, or Benjamin. And Absalom came to the king and said, Behold now, thy servant have sheep shears. I got a knife. Let the king, I beseech thee, and his servants go with thy servant. So empty the room, let all the guards, let all the servants go, and give me this sharp object, because I want to shave somebody. That's why barbers are dangerous, especially old school barbers. If you were mad with your barber, if your barber's mad at you, you best not go. And the king said to Absalom, Nay, my son, let us not all go, now go, lest we be chargeable unto thee. And he pressed him, Come on, Dad, let him go. Let all the soldiers go. Howbeit he would not go, but blessed him. Then said Absalom, If not, I pray thee, let my brother Amnon go with us. And the king said unto him, Why should he go with thee? But Absalom pressed him, that he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. Now Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, Mark ye now when Amnon's heart is merry. So when he's merry, when he's disarmed, when he's not alert, with wine. So when he's drunk. And when I say unto you, smite Amnon, then kill him, fear not, I have not commanded you, be courageous and be vigilant, or valiant. And the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom had commanded, and I don't feel bad for Amnon because he raped his sister. And how does God think of rape? Well, let's go back to the book of Judges. When the tribe of Benjamin, most of the men had their way with that Levites, that priest's wife. What did God command to happen to that tribe? Most of all of them, were wiped out. They became the least of all the 12 tribes. Look at Sodom and Gomorrah, a town filled of sexually immoral men. God wiped that out. It wasn't just the homosexuality, but they were completely immoral with their bodies. So God hates rape. You think God loves rape? No, he hates it. Okay. Verse 29. And the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and every man gat him up upon his mule and fled. And it came to pass, while they were in the way, that tidings came to David, saying, Absalom had slain all the king's sons, and there is not one of them left. Then the king arose and tare his garments, and lay on the earth, and all his servants stood by with their clothes rent. And Jonadab, the son of Shemaiah, David's brother, answered and said, Let not my lord suppose that they have all the young men, the king's sons. For Amnon is only dead, so your sons are good, it's just Amnon. For by the appointment of Absalom, this had been determined from the day that he forced his sister Tamar. Now therefore let not my lord the king take the thing to his heart, to think that all the king's sons are dead, for Amnon is only dead. And think about it, whose is one of the king's sons? Solomon. So if all of them were dead, Solomon would be dead. So all the king's sons except Amnon is dead. So, whew. But Absalom fled, and the young man that kept the watch lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there came much people by the way of the hill behind him. And Jonadab said unto the king, Behold, the king's sons come, as the servant said, so as it is. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made the end of speaking, that behold, the king's sons came and lifted up their voice and wept. And the king also and all his servants wept very sore. But Absalom fled and went to Talmai, the son of Ammihud, king of Geshur. And David mourned for his son every day. So Absalom fled and went to Geshur, and was there for 3 years. And the soul of King David longed to go forth unto Absalom, for he was comforted concerning Amnon, seeing he was dead. Oof. Remember, God allowed all this evil. Just think about it. God puts a hedge of protection around people. Look at the story of Job, because a lot of people think that God is pleased with that. But a lot of the attacks that we go through, I'm not saying all the time, happens because of our sins. Just think about it. Because you've done this thing, I'm going to allow this evil to be in your household. You think I'm going to allow you to have a peaceful home? No, I'm going to allow all this wickedness. The devil's going to run rampant in your home. Like, why did Job have peace? Well, he loved God. But when his faith was tested, his children died, land burned, sick. That's why we got to be careful. That's why when we live for God, we got to try our best to be consistent. That's why we have to, understand the things that God hates, the fear of the Lord. If David properly feared God, none of this would happen, because look at how this connects. And I can't blame Absalom from this, and part of this helped him later on with his campaign, because just think about it, how would the servants look upon this? Now David is sad, but he understood two things. Number one, his son Amnon raped his daughter. Number two, God told him that this stuff was going to happen within his own house. So David understood, as we see at the end, that, yeah, my son is dead, but I want my son back. And as you see in the later chapters, Absalom, he's going to wage war against his father. He's going to do far worse. That's why we got to fear God and do as he commands. All right, that's going to be the end of Bible study. Any questions? I don't think anyone here. All right, nobody's here. All right. The CGU
First study. Sorry.
is brought to you by the Bible.